Good morning and welcome to another brew day at Wheatlow Brewery. Today we're going to do a special beer which has had much publicity recently, and that beer is Jaipore. And following the Malt Miller suite of videos, desperately anticipating the recipe coming out. And of course we were lucky enough to feature on the Malt Miller video in episode 3 showing our Union set that we'd built originally to try brewing Bass on. So we're going to brew Thornbridge today according to Reiki's recipe. We've been lucky enough to get some Artenum hops, so we're going to substitute those in, and then of course we're going to have to ferment this on the Union set. So we're going to have to get that out. It's packed away all in its trolley here. 160 components to put together and get ready. But in the meantime, we need to get this show on the road with this Simpson's low colour Maris Otter. So 35 kilos, 100% Simpson's low colour Maris Otter. So we'll get that mashed in. We've got the water salts already measured out last night. It's quite a Burtonised water. Quite a lot of gypsum in the water profile. I think it's more than 2 to 1 sulfates to chloride. I'll put it on the screen here for you to have a look at. And of course the star of the show will be the hops and the yeast as well, because it's in the Union set. So we're going to use, as suggested by the Malt Miller, WLP 037, which is the Yorkshire Square yeast. And that should, we've actually used that yeast before in the Union set when we've done a landlord version. So we know it works well in there. It's used to open fermentation, and it's although it's not the exact yeast that Thornbridge use in the brewery, it's definitely a strong candidate for the closest match. So let's get cracking and mash in, and then we can talk a little bit more later about the star of the show, the hops. According to Reiki's recipe, which I've added to all the notes of this beer in Beersmith, mash at 65, quite a big full mash tun here. Can hardly get my spoon to the bottom to scrape it off to let it flow for you. 65.8, so pH first pH reading at hot temperature is 5.4, so I expect that that will go up as we cool it. So we are going to need to acidify this. Reiki says 5.3 to 5.5. Since we normally do 5.2, I'm going to go for 5.3 on the lower end of his spectrum. So I'll go and get this cooled down, work out the acidification and get some lactic acid measured out. Here's the pH at room temperature, 5.6. So we just simply put this into Beersmith. Target 5.3. Going to use lactic acid, and it happens to be 80% concentration. So we need 38.2 ml of lactic acid. So let's whip that in. So 38.2 ml lactic acid. So acids are added to the mash, giving it a stir. We'll check the pH again in a minute to see if it's stabilised at 5.3, which is what we're looking for. And whilst we're on the subject of water, this is the water profile that Reiki's put in his recipe on the malt miller. So calcium 100, magnesium 5, bicarb 80, sulfates 350, and chlorides 150, and sodium 100. So it is quite Burtonised, really. High sulfate to chloride ratio. That will help to make those hops sing and bring out the bitterness and the hoppy character in this beer. So it should help also create a nice clear beer as well. So the mash is just going to get on with it now, and in the meantime we can start getting the hops out, and also we've got to clean the unitank, and we've got to start putting the Burton Union set together as well, and all the 160 components of it. So lots to do. Alright, Vorlauf is going round. It's 74 degrees, gone nice and clear now, so it's time to transfer it to the kettle. Right, let's talk a bit about Flex. Flex is a brand name of a CO2 extract, and I have used CO2 extract before, but not Flex. But it's basically like concentrated syrup of hop bitterness, really. Apparently 65% alpha acid. The idea behind Flex or other CO2 extracts is that, particularly in commercial setting where hops vary and recipes, if you don't want to tweak the recipe, for example, each time that the hop batch changes, because the alpha acids go up and down according to terroir and harvest and the weather and all that sort of thing, and where they've been grown, Flex is a good option because it's very consistent. So if you put so many grams of this into your boil, you'll get an exact amount of bitterness every time. So a lot of breweries use it at the beginning of the boil to give consistent bitterness, and then they go on to the hops later on. So that's effectively what we're doing with this. Jaipore is quite a bitter beer, and I think they sometimes, I think they use a mixture of hops and flex in the brewery, but for the sake of consistency, we're going to just use flex for the bittering hops, and then we're going to add as many whole leaf hops as the variety availability will allow later on in the brew. So I need 19 point something grams of this, so I'll put one whole tub in plus and measure the rest with a pipette. We're coming to the end of the boil. There's nothing gone in the boil except for the flex at the beginning. I'm going to add some Protifloc now just to help with the hop break and settle those proteins down. And then it'll be time to measure out some hops. Now, for the hops, let's just stick these in, Protifloc. For the hops, we're going to Whirlpool. There's no late addition in the boil. We're going to Whirlpool these at 92 degrees. And we're going to first add Chinook pellets, 8.3 IBUs worth, 72 grams in my case. And then we're going to rest it, we're going to Whirlpool it for 20 minutes. And then we're going to add Chinook, Artanum, Centennial, Columbus and Simcoe. But in this case, we're going to use, where we can, leaf hops. Now, we haven't got any leaf hops for Artanum or Simcoe, but we have for Chinook, Centennial and Columbus. So there'll be a two-stage Whirlpool addition, basically. I'll put it all up on the screen here, and you can have a look. But I better start measuring some out. Right, whole leaf hops now. So that is a ruck. A lot of hops. And as soon as my alarm goes off for the 20-minute first stage, I can get them in. Right, the Whirlpool's going strong. This is the first edition. So once that's just mixed up a bit, I'll switch the Whirlpool off, let it rest, and then we'll add a later addition after 20 minutes. So now it's time to put the big bag of Whirlpool hops in, which smell absolutely amazing. So I'll whip them in. Just tie them up so they don't get sucked up the pipe. Dunk them like a tea bag. And then put the pump on. I've got the thermostat turning the element on if it goes below 92. We need to keep it at 92 to make sure that we are extracting the bitterness units like we need to. Otherwise, it will end up being a bit toned down. So it has just dropped a little bit then when I opened the lid and put the hops in, but it's already back up to 90. Right, I've just switched the Whirlpool off. It's the end of the second 20-minute phase, and you can see there's a great hop break in there, lots of protein all stuck together. And I'm just going to let it rest for that to settle down to the bottom. So there isn't much hop debris in here really, because there's only a few pellets gone in. But I will leave these hops in during that rest, rightly or wrongly. I could take them out, but it's better if they stay in, and then when the level goes down, they just naturally drain as they stretch against this, and I won't have to mess with the hop bag and everything and try and squeeze it out and all that sort of stuff. The Jaipore is still in the kettle, it's all switched off, it's just settling down. And then once all the trub's settled at the bottom, we'll transfer it to this. Now, why are we using that when I said we were going to put it in the Union set? Well, that's because what we need to do is put it in the uni tank, the fermenter, first for 12 to 24 hours until the yeast's definitely getting going. And then we'll transfer it into the Union set so that it can be frothing straight away. Now, where is the Union set? Well, it lives in here when it's not being used. So, down here are the 160 odd components that make up the Union set. So, between now and probably tomorrow morning when it's frothing away and it'll need to go urgently into the Union set, I need to assemble that, sanitize it, assemble it, sanitize bits again and assemble them at the last minute, and get it all ready for the morning. This isn't brewing for the light-hearted. Piecing together 160 pieces just to get 2% difference and improvement in flavour. This is full bore, Wheatlow, frothing ale, extreme weirdo-ness. So I'm going to make a bit of a start on that now, just to remind myself how it goes together. Right, yeast looks pretty good. So I'm going to stick that in the Jaipore now. And then right, so it starts bubbling nicely in the morning then. we can transfer it over to the Union set. Right, so by filling the top tray up, we're checking that it's flowing okay. Can't see any leaks so far. That is now pumping it all around the pipes. So when the first barrel fills up, which it will first, it'll start coming out of here. Certainly smells nice. Right, Union set's full. It is frothing away. I've just covered it up because it's midsummer and I don't want insects going in, but it's frothing away nicely. And now just need to hook the cooling up. So now, some of you may have heard me use the phrase frothing ale. And if this isn't frothing ale, I don't know what is. Because this is a stronger beer, Jaipur 5.9-ish%, the Krausen was absolutely magnificent within an hour or two of getting it into the Union set. And it's exactly what you want it to be doing and how you want it to look in that time. So this froth contains CO2 and kind of forms a layer of protection over the beer that flows underneath from the big tray into the little tray, down through the pipes and into the little casks. So what the Union set's doing here is mixing yeast, because the yeast resides at the top of each cask, top fermenting yeast. It gets pushed up the spout when the pressure inside the barrel increases with the CO2 from fermentation, and the yeast ends up in the top tray. There it can play with and mingle with the air, and this helps the yeast to develop, to propagate, and to develop interesting flavours. And that's what the Union set's all about. It's turning a very hop forward beer here into a more yeast forward beer. And we found a solution to the insects. This is a full-size double bed mosquito net, only about, I think, 12 quid on Amazon. So that was absolutely ideal. And we were confident enough then to leave the fermentation open. So here we are, 4 days into fermentation, 3 days in the uni tank, and the spouts are still dripping a little bit, but it's obviously slowed down quite a lot. The gravity is 1023, so there's a bit left to go on fermentation. However, I think now is the time that we revert this back into a uni tank. In the past couple of batches I've done, I've just left the beer in the Union set, let it finish, and cast it straight from there. But on this occasion, we've got to do a big dry hop, which would be better done in a uni tank. And also, it's midsummer, and we just want to tuck it up safe, I think, out of the elements and the heat as soon as we can. So we'll transfer it to a uni tank, let it finish off, and then we'll add the dry hop. Time to dry hop the Jaipore. So we've dumped the cone, got the yeast out, and now we're just going to measure out these hops. It's not a massive dry hop. Records say that in the early days of Jaipur, it wasn't a dry hop at all, according to, I think it's Steele in his IPA book. And it's realistic to believe that because they'd have had a more basic kit, probably without uni tanks and so on, so it would have been easier to not dry hop. But according to the malt miller's recipe, it does have a dry hop today, and we've got 4 hops. We've got Centennial, Artenum in my case, because we managed to source some Artenum, as we said earlier, so that's instead of the Cascade. It's the total dry hop, not as big as others we've had, but still reasonable. And we've got Centennial, Artenum, Simcoe, and Chinook. So we'll get that in now. We've done before. We're going to get some CO2 in amongst the hops. Try and fill all the gaps in between the hops with CO2 rather than air. So we don't just drag some down into the tank when we pour the jug in. The little bit of pipe there that's on the outside of the valve, make sure that hasn't got any oxygen in either. And I just sprayed it with alcohol. So same up here, bit of acid, and then we'll also use the alcohol as well. Always remember before you take the lid off to empty the pressure. Otherwise the lid will go through the ceiling. Gas pressure, so it's bubbling up, and be quick. Lid straight back on, bubbling inside. Can hear it now. So I'll just let that purge out through here. In case there's any oxygen coming through the lid there. Same here. Maybe just let a bit out. Seal that up and then whack the pressure up. Why? To rumble it through, churn it all up. We'll do that a couple of times over the next couple of days to make sure the hops really mix in. Right, this is the Jaipore. We've done the dry hop. It's had 2 days on the dry hop at 14 degrees and it's busy cooling down now. Just going to have a taste. Okay, so obviously it's not clear yet, that's normal. Definitely taste the hop. It doesn't need to sit on there any longer. Got that slightly hop burny kind of a taste, which is okay because that will ease off as it's packaged, and then you'll still get the hop level that you want. I can tell it's Jaipur and I can tell it's Union set because it has got that bitterness and that all the Jaipur-y things, the grapefruit and the sort of pininess and so on, but it's all a bit soft, apart from the hop burn. which is exactly what I'd expect that the Union set would just round off the edges, knock the bumps off and make it smoother. In other words, I think it's going to be really nice. Now then, so what you'd normally do in if we were a professional brewery and we knew what we're doing, is that we'd dump the cone first, then at 14 degrees we'd add the dry hop with CO2 coming through to make sure no air goes in. And then what you do is you put it on the hops for 2 days, and then after that you'd let it settle and you'd dump the cone again to get rid of the hops. I'm not going to bother dumping the hops from the bottom because we're going to package it from here and we're going to take it from above the hops anyway, either from here or from the dip tube. So we don't need to dump the hops, and there's too much risk of sort of losing beer, or too much beer if you like, wasting too much beer. So that's how we're going to do it. Now, that's brilliant to put into casks. If we put that into a cask later today, add some browsol, it won't be quite as quick as some of the 4% beers, but within a week or so, better 2 weeks perhaps, it'll be lovely and conditioned and clear. But because it's Jaipur from the Union set, I want to also bottle condition some of this beer. And bottle conditioning, it's a whole other topic, so we're going to save that for another video. In the meantime, let's get tasting.
This is what I've been really excited about, and I need to literally like saliva. What is that? Is that your version?
So I've downgraded you to a third of the cask version. So if you move that over there, so what we've got as well, we can do 4 Jaipurs in one. So we've got, first of all, real Jaipur, bottle conditioned. Then we've got real Jaipur from the Union set. Then we've got Wheatlow Jaipur from the Union set, bottle conditioned. And then we've got cask Jaipur from the Union set, handcrafted on the premises. So,
and not only that, like, so I'm going to send this video to Richard. He's videoing it as well. That's why we're all like teched up like RoboCops here. Seriously, please, if you're watching it on the Spencer Arms YouTube channel, please watch Richard's Union set video. It's fascinating. He's a genius. Who in the world can build a Union system like this man? It's absolute genius. I've got to say, this Jaipur from the cask, is this on a hand pull or you've done it
on a hand pull? Yeah.
I'm looking at this and it's amazing me because the quality of that beer is just absolutely stunning. Hope you're remembering what you're pouring in. So these flights here, there were 4 flight, not a 3 flight, and it's got Wheatlow on it as well. I love the fact that you've done your own label as well. Jaipur. I also love the fact that Thornbridge, who everybody knows is one of my favourite brewery, have released their recipe so other people can brew it. And the Malt Miller, they're great guys, isn't they?
Yeah,
the Malt Miller,
great, yeah.
You know, beer for everybody. But the thing is, you can't just. If I was to grab the ingredients to brew Jaipur,
which you can on the Malt Miller website.
You can, and I could even use the pinter as a fermenter because everybody's raving about the pinter, like an all-grain brew. Ferment it in the pinter. It's a very good thing actually. But I would never ever, because I just use tap water or some bottled water. I think it's all about the water. The water is the key. I'm so excited about this. I can't tell you.
This is a Jaipur extravaganza. So we've got cricket bats.
Wow, look at that.
And here is real Jaipur, bottle conditioned from the brewery. This one is Jaipur from Thornbridge, bottle conditioned but from the Union set. This one is my bottle conditioned. It's a bit young, it's a bit hazy. and this one is my cask Jaipore.
Gotta say, your bottle version and the cask look very good. Look really good.
Which end do you want to start? Real Jaipore?
Yeah, we know this really well. Oh, I mean, and to be honest with you, I think it's a great follow after the porter as well.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's such a... Lucky we've had a bit of a break whilst I poured them as well, because that porter, I think the taste's only just gone.
It's literally, just before I drank that, it was still there. Well, I mean, that's classic Jaipore, beautiful.
And it's bottle conditioned as well, so it's got something about it. It's pretty clear, but you can tell it's alive.
I love the grapefruit hitting that. For me, whenever there's any bitterness in a beer, well, in this type of style of beer, I always find back of the tongue, grapefruit, and it might change. It might be like a more of a orange, like it might have a little bit more orangey grapefruity taste. But this, for me, this is pure. Pop a grapefruit in your mouth, you get that grapefruit bitterness, and then it comes through.
It never gives way to that thing where you pucker your mouth, though, does it?
No.
Because the malty sweetness just kicks in and balances it. It's a great beer. 20 years old, is it this year? Is that right? 20?
Yeah.
A lot of people say this is one of the founding beers of the UK sort of craft beer revival.
Yeah. And it's one of those beers. I talk to Thornbridge a lot, and I'm quite friends with them, and I say to them all the time, never ever ever, no matter what happens, please don't change this. Don't lower the ABV. So many breweries have lowered the ABV. They have to do it through financial reasons, but just don't lower the ABV of this beer, because it will take it away. It will. You need that strength to balance that bitterness, really.
It's a hell of a beer. And I remember the first time I ever had it. It was years ago, and I went into the Green Man down the road on Christmas Day at lunchtime. It was so busy, and I couldn't get to the bar, and loads of people I know in there, and they said, "What do you want?" And anyway, they passed a pint over, golden and delicious like this, and I said, "What is it?" And, "Oh, some kind of IPA." And I never did actually make it to the bar. It was that busy, and I think I had 5 or 6 pints at Christmas Day lunchtime, and I think I missed the Queen's speech.
Oh no, really? Yeah, but you can always, these days, you can always like record it and play it back, can't
Well, you couldn't remember it.
Well, that, I mean, to be honest with you, I'm gonna.
Oh, you wound yours in.
It's just that's gone down so well.
I could tell on your video when you did a Thornbridge thing the other day, you're really quite keen on Jaipore, aren't you?
I love Jaipore. It's just one of those. It's a classic IPA. It's just a classic. It's what an IPA is. I mean, this has got. I think it's about. Well, it was from your video with Thornbridge and with the Malt video. I think it's 55 IBUs, which is. It's almost going past an IPA into the West Coast sort of side of IBUs, isn't it?
Yeah, I think I would describe it as a West Coast IPA.
I think it is, isn't
they
it?
say, I think on the labels, they say India Pale Ale, and they sort of claim it's English and that, which of course it is, but it's definitely, in my view, a West Coast IPA because it's got the grapefruity sea hops, and it's got that pithy grapefruit, if you like. There you go. So this is the Union set one now.
I've been drinking this.
We should have saved a bit of A, shouldn't we, to just have a comparative sip.
Maybe.
But you can tell straight away. Subtle, but it's more gentle, isn't it?
It reminds me a bit of your Citra there.
Oh, it's softened.
This is softened the hit a bit. So the actual bitterness. So if you was having a pint now, it's almost like you've got halfway down your pint and then your pint's changed. It's definitely softened the bitter hit, isn't it?
Yeah.
It makes it, because I've been drinking the Union Jaipore for a few weeks now, ready to come here and sample yours. to really get that flavour into my palate. But I've not. I did a video where I A/B'd it against the normal one and this, but I've not really noticed it that much until now. This really has made the hops, the bitterness, and everything else moreish. It's still there.
It just softens it, knocks the edges off it.
But I know this sounds silly, and this is really going to be a little bit anal now, but I can almost tell the people who are drinking your Jaipore in here because of how the Jaipore laces the glass.
Mine isn't lacing.
Oh.
I must have had a bag of chips before.
It has this broken lacing, so like, you know how Guinness supposed to have this like step lacing?
Yeah.
Jaipore seems to have this one broken sort of lacing down the glass. Yeah, I noticed that. Oh my God. It is an amazing beer.
Yeah, it is an amazing beer. Great brewery, do loads of amazing beers, and obviously Jaipure's the flagship.
Yeah.
But it's on the doorstep here, really. It's just under an hour's drive from here. So, you know, if you... I called in the other day, and I just had... Roz was with me, and she had 2 or 3 hours of one thing, but I just had an alcohol-free Green Mountain, absolutely amazing.
The Green Mountain alcohol-free is really, really good. It really is good.
It's one of the best. We've also had
Jaipore.
05. 05.
Oh, I've not had that.
And that's good. But the Green Mountain alcohol-free is very good.
It is
if
very
you're driving or whatever.
Yeah, it is very good. I'm starting to feel it now, Richard.
Yeah, I'm feeling it, definitely. So this I've opened one of our bottle conditioned ones. It's a bit early. It's only been in the bottle 10 days. It needs about 3 weeks to be ready. So got a touch of haze to it. And
we don't mind a bit of haze.
Perhaps just lacking a bit of condition.
Is this been brewed on the Union?
Yeah. So
I can smell it the same as that.
It's exactly the same beer as the cask, the draft version. It's funny how the colour looks different just because of the clarity.
Yeah, because of the...
But it is the exact same beer.
So this is a clone of Jaipore from the Malt Miller's recipe. But like I say, I could not buy the Malt Miller's recipe and brew it. You've got to know how to condition the water. Their water's very soft over in where they are. Where God,
in Bakewell.
Bakewell, yeah, I always forget.
It will be soft, but when you're brewing a hoppy IPA, whether it's a Burton style or a Westie, you would normally add sulfates, gypsum, that kind of thing to the water to get the hops going. So
I'm almost too excited to put this in my mouth because it smells exactly the same as the Thornbridge Union Jaipore.
I think this is perhaps just going to improve in a couple of weeks. It's got a bit of a yeast taste to it because it's still a bit in suspension. Although I've seen you tip the dregs into your...
Always.
Really?
I think yeast is the... They always say, like, you know, pour it out gently, leave the yeast in the bottom. And I have done that. I have sort of like... And I think really what I need to do is get a little yeast glass to sort of like pour the beer as the brewery wants it poured, and then pour the rest in a little glass at the end.
I absolutely love the German Weiss beer culture where you can go into any hotel bar or bar, and if they pour a Weiss beer from a bottle, they'll pour it in and they'll leave that much in the bottom of the bottle, and then they'll let the main pour rest, a bit like a Guinness, and then they'll swirl the bottle like that and they'll tip all that yeast in. And on a Weiss beer, it's absolutely the right thing to do, isn't it?
Yeah. I know it's a funny thing because, like, you know, it can probably like take away the clearness of the beer, and it can add something they probably don't want you to add in the beer. But I don't know. For me, it's just what I like to see the floaters go down, and the yeast, the floaters always end up at the bottle, at the bottom, and you've got to like swirl it round. But
so I'd say that.
To be honest with you, that is even more softer, slightly softer than that. So you've got quite harsh, quite full-on grapefruit bitterness, everything about Jaipur. That softens it out, and then this has softened it out a little bit more.
Does, yeah. I agree with that.
But my God, that is Jaipur.
Yeah, you can definitely say we're in the same ballpark.
Yeah.
And you're never going to get a clone the same, exactly the same.
And I love how you do that. It's like when you've done your Guinness, is it Guinness?
Yeah.
You're not going, I can brew Guinness and I can do it exactly the same and whatever. You're saying, look, it's never going to be the same because of this factor and that factor. And I love that. I think it just makes it more appealing. There's so many people.
Slight chance that someone at Diageo knows a bit more about beer than I do.
I think, to be honest with you, like what they do not give away to the home brewers is the yeast they use, and also they've got that 232 complete and utter. Like they roast their barley at that complete and utter. Is it 232?
Yeah, and they roast the barley themselves, I think. But there's also a special technique. We'll talk about. I'll tell you what. We'll talk about Guinness when we taste it.
Okay. Yeah.
But otherwise, we'll go on a real rabbit hole.
That is magical, though. That is, to be honest with you. If you poured me a Jaipur, if we were chatting away just normally, and you said, "Do you want a Jaipur Union?" I'm like, "Yeah," and then you said, "Do you want another one?" I'm like, "Yeah." I wouldn't go, "Hey, look, this is different." I'd think I would drink the same beer.
So I'm excited to see what you think of the cask one.
Oh, that's amazing. This has been sat
First of
here
all,
20 minutes.
Yeah, it's been here ages, hasn't it? Look at that.
I mean,
on that is amazing. When you think it's been sitting for that long.
I know. How many beers that are sitting for that long still hold that head retention? And looks...
the smooth bubbles on top as well.
Yeah.
It tastes quite different. I'm amazed that tastes so different from the bottle.
Yeah, it does taste different from the bottle, doesn't it? But it's still Jaipur. And at the end of the day, like when you go, I mean, Witherspoons have like rolled out Jaipur throughout their whole like network, haven't they? And I've never had a Jaipur on hand pull before. And when I went there, I just thought it is totally different. It's so smoother, so softer. Look at the bloody head retention.
Yeah, that's amazing, isn't it?
Lacing on that. That is. It's still Jaipur, but it's bringing out some of the malts.
Yeah, it is. I thought that. It's bringing the malts out. Well, there's only one malt in it.
That's amazing because so the beer you brewed on the Union set has gone into that bottle, and then it's also gone into cask.
Yeah, so we brewed it. We put it in a uni tank first for 12 hours to get it going. Put it in the Union set, and then put it back in a uni tank after about 4 days, and it mostly fermented. And then let it finish, and then added the dry hop. And then we put it all into casks. And then from a cask, we've then bottle conditioned it.
I know that Jaipur tastes a completely different beer from the bottle than it does on the hand pull. You're not giving that bottle any air or anything else. That every single beer that we've tasted here is Jaipur, but in a different scenario.
A slight different twist on it. And this is what we learned. When I did my Boningtons video, we tasted the can, we tasted my draft, and then we did cream flavour version as well. You wouldn't believe how different the cream flavour is. It's the same beer, out of the same batch, out of the same fermenter, and all you've done is treat it different at the end.
The thing is, with the Boddingtons, when we tasted the Boddingtons that you've done, the Gulu, got the t-shirt. I couldn't come here without the t-shirt. Of course I had to get the t-shirt. And then you tasted the can of Boddingtons. It's like two completely different beers. Whereas we've gone traditional Jaipur, Union set Jaipur in the bowl, Wheatlow Brewery bottle conditioned beer, and Jaipur on the cask. Every single beer along here is Jaipur. It's just completely different how it's poured, how it's served, how it's done, but all the flavours are still there. That has still got all the flavours. It's just, I think I'm getting more, look, the malts are shining through on that a little bit more.
Yeah.
Bloody lovely though, my goodness me.
You wouldn't refuse any of them, would you?
No. In fact, I think I reckon.
Should we have a refresh?
Yeah, a little refresh, because I want to just have a little bit, It's amazing.
Wouldn't give a place.
An iconic beer celebrating 20 years, and it's here at Wheatlow Brewery. You know, he's got his label, and he's built a Union set. Honestly, I'm absolutely, I feel honoured, privileged to be sat here and drinking with Richard. Well, when you're tasting all these different beers, your palate is being just like bombarded with all different flavours and things. And I can't believe that a beer that is so recognisable can have so many different intakes based on how it's poured. Now, I know that when I've been to it's hard to say this, but you know, when I've been to Witherspoons to drink Jaipur, they actually, I have to admit, they actually do a good pint of it. We went away a few weekends ago, and we supposed to just nipped in the Witherspoons pub, but we stayed there all afternoon because it was raining. God, I'm slurring now, bloody hell. And I just drank Jaipur all afternoon.
I like Wetherspoons. I think they're great for beer, and there's an old story, isn't there, about which I probably won't go into, but broadly speaking, there's talk that a chap left Jaipur, Thornbridge, and Brewdog Punk IPA is a very similar beer, and he went to work there, but. Rather cheekily, a couple of years ago, Wetherspoons put a little font up in each pub with two keg lines, one Punk IPA and one Jaipur. And even all those years later, from when it started, the two together, they are similar beers.
To be honest with you, I must have to try a Punk IPA on draft, because it's not one of my.
I'm not the biggest fan, but I must admit. But the fact that they both sort of are similar beers is not a coincidence, let's say.
This cask version of this beer is Moorish. It's blending the flavours and balancing it out, and it's making it that seesaw sort of like
dangerous, I'd call it.
Oh, it's so dangerous. I mean, look, there you go. Look, there's the lacey. Look, it's you can. I think
that looks good. Yeah.
You have brewed the perfect Jaipur, because it has this signature. I find it has this almost like Guinness. Every sip leaves. Oh my God! I tell you what. Oh. For me,
we're about halfway now, Lee. So
halfway. Shit the bed. Like Janie's going to be like asleep over there. I've never ever like experienced such amazing beer.
really,
Yeah, honestly,
you're very kind.
your porter is just phenomenal. I'd like. Do you know what? Thornbridge needs to come and taste this because this is like a really. This is like the Union set doing its thing.
What I think about the Union set is this: that there are hop-forward beers, which Jaipore probably is one, and there are malt-forward beers, but there are also yeast-forward beers, and there aren't many about really, but. A Weiss beer is a good example. All the flavour is coming from the yeast, cloves and banana and stuff like that. Now, I think that's what the Union set does. It brings the yeast forward, and it reduces the other things. It reduces the malt and it reduces the hop. It knocks the edges off them, and it brings the yeast forward.
Yeah.
And in a way, I mean, is Jaipore the right beer to do in the Union? Well, of course it is, because it's nice, but
I know what you mean.
You're taking a hop-forward beer and you're playing with it in the Union. So I'm excited to try some yeast-forward beers in the Union set. So just yesterday I brewed a Weiss beer and I put it in the Union set, and it'd be really interesting to see what it does with that.
Because I think you're right. I think the yeast has played a part in this beer.
Definitely, you can almost taste it.
But, and I'll be dead honest with you, there's everything Jaipore in here. So you got the grapefruit, you got like pininess, you got the bitterness, you got everything. But then you've got a really rounded, smooth yeast profile. Really,
that's where the danger lies.
Yes, it's made it drinkable.
Yes, because it's so smooth, you just can't just help yourself. Oh, I can see.
Well,
Right, that's the end of the video for now. Thanks for watching it. If you've made it this far, you've done brilliantly. I realise it's been a little bit of a long video today, and I hope there wasn't too much froth in there. But it was a big sort of important project, and we wanted to give it the coverage it deserved. We've got other projects coming up in the near future, different beers, including an Oktoberfest series where we try and brew several beers for Oktoberfest. So please give us a like, subscribe, let us know in the comments what you thought of the Jaipore. We did try and keep it down in length. I deleted about half an hour on bottle conditioning alone, which was a little bit dry. I may bring that out as another episode if you think that's worthwhile. In the meantime, thanks again for watching, and don't forget to grab yourself a frothy nail. Cheers.